Okay, so this chapter picks up right where the last one left off, with Kafka and Kikuru being told by Narumi that he's actually expecting the results from the two of them, as he has giant kaiju being led directly to them in their different neutralization zones, which I thought in the last chapter they were in the same place and we would get to see the two of them teaming up to fight these hordes of kaiju that are being led to them, which I called Locust Kaiju in the last review, but we get the confirmation in this chapter that they're actually ant-like kaiju. But anyway, we end up finding out that the two of them are actually in different neutralization zones. I believe Kikuru's in the east zone and Kafka's in the west. But the two of them aren't alone. They're actually being backed up by platoons, which are pretty much just there to help out, but mostly just observe exactly what the two of them are capable of so that Narumi can have an idea of how strong the two of them are. Which, I mean, honestly, that makes sense that he would want to test the two of them out. First off, we have Kikuru, the daughter of the director of the entire Kaiju Defense Force. Of course, he'd want to test out exactly how strong she is compared to her dad. And then on top of that, since he was forced to have Kafka put on his team, he would want to test to see exactly what he's capable of, see exactly what his strengths are, most likely see also what his weaknesses are, and test to see his loyalty, if he actually is on the side of humans, and if he might, take some pity on the kaiju, maybe hold back or something like that, pretty much to give him any excuse to try to kill him off right away. He doesn't really present that kind of like attitude in the chapter, but you can kind of tell that's pretty much what he's planning to do right here. Anyway, we actually start off with Kikuru jumping in and attacking the kaiju, and she's actually going all out. She's actually doing better than we've ever seen her do before, and it's mostly just to show off to Narumi to show exactly how strong she is and how capable she is. And even in the situation, she's still thinking she can do better because she's comparing herself to Vice Captain Sotro. Throughout the entire time we actually see her fighting the kaiju in the chapter, she's constantly comparing her movements, her speed, her strikes to how fast he was moving and how hard he was striking against the kaijus that he fought when she last saw him in battle. And this kind of just shows exactly how driven Kikuru actually is to become stronger. Because, I mean, she's really only in her first year as a member of the Defense Force. She's still a rookie. And yet she's already got a kaiju weapon, even though it's not exactly the weapon she would prefer to have. She still had the kaiju weapon, something that's only reserved to captains and vice captains. And she's already putting herself and trying to surpass the powers and abilities of a vice captain, again, even though she's only in her first year. So I can expect that Kikuru is definitely going to go down the route of a Vegeta character in Kaiju number 8, where she's constantly going to be comparing herself to other characters as a way to improve herself. And we actually might see her do something very significant in the near future, where she actually takes down maybe a named numbered kaiju. I mean, hey, she's already definitely on her way to surpassing the level of a vice captain or a captain, at least when it comes to the lower divisions. Heck, she already surpassed her platoon leader in this chapter because we actually get to see her save her platoon leader's life, which, by the way, we actually get a name for one of the three characters that were introduced in the last chapter. And I actually had to look it up because I don't remember it. I know it began, I think it began with an S. So the one we get a name for in this chapter is actually the female character from last chapter, and her name apparently is Shinonome. We don't get a first name or anything like that, but we actually do get to see her, and apparently she also has, maybe not a kaiju weapon, but she definitely has her own specialized weapon, because we see her after Kikuru saves her life from a kaiju that was about to attack her from behind. She saves Kikuru from another kaiju, and the two of them actually work back to back, where we get to see that she is holding a giant machine gun. We don't actually get to see much of her in this chapter, but from what I've already seen, I'm already digging the character. Anyway, we cut right over to Kafka, and we get to see him jumping in to fight off against the kaiju that are being led to his district. And immediately we see that Kafka is kind of holding back at first. Like, he is only using partial transformations at first in the beginning of the fight to try to fight off against the kaiju, and it's not having any effect. And at first, you think it's because he's a little worried about what happened when he was fighting off against Director Shinomiya. And it is true, he actually does kind of have a flashback to when he lost control. And that is definitely holding him back in the beginning. But he quickly gets over that once he remembers he's being watched and this is basically his only chance to prove his worth. So he tries to actually go full transformation and fight off against the kaijus that are attacking him. But he's unable to transform. And I actually have two theories as to why he can't transform in this chapter, but I'm going to leave that till after I get done reviewing the entire chapter. Basically, after Kafka realizes that he can't transform, we see the other platoon leaders that are with him get a little nervous, and even Narumi starts to wonder what's going on. Director Shinomiya chimes in and says, "What's going on? Why can't he transform right now?" And then this is when we actually find out that there's actually a gigantic surge of kaiju energy directly under Kafka that's quickly bubbling up to the surface. Also, before that, we end up finding out that with these ant-like kaiju, they normally don't attack the surface like they do. Usually, these kaiju only show up, very rarely in tunnels when there are miners digging around down there for their job. But they're very rare, and it's pretty much uncommon for them to attack the surface. So that's brought into question right in the beginning of the chapter. And we end up finding out the reason why these kaiju are actually attacking the surface and acting in a way that's not common for them is because of the fact that kaiju number 9 has grafted himself on, I would assume, the queen of this ant-like colony of kaiju, and is going straight for Kafka at the end of the chapter. So this is huge because we haven't seen kaiju number 9 since, I want to say, chapter 37, 36, something like that. And the last time we saw him, he was outside the Defense Force headquarters of a different town. I believe the town was about 35 minutes away from where they currently are right now. And he said he was actually trying to find, or trying to release, a powerful kaiju power that the humans were holding on to. Which at first we thought was actually going to be inside that building. But now that we know he's after Kafka, it might be that he's actually trying to get the kaiju powers that Kafka currently has away from him. And that actually leads into one of my theories for why Kafka can't transform in this chapter. I think that possibly Kaiju number 9 might be doing something with these ant kaiju that is blocking Kafka's ability to transform. It might be something like the antenna for these ant kaiju are transmitting a signal that are blocking his ability to transform, or something along those lines. Although, if that's the case, I wonder why he was able to do a partial transformation in this chapter. You would think that by them blocking his ability to transform, he wouldn't be able to transform at all. But it's only his full transformation that's being blocked in this chapter. So if it's not Kaiju number 9's doing, the other option is obviously that somehow, some way, when Kafka fought against the kaiju portion of his body, when he was trying to stop it from killing off Director Shinomiya, he did something like maybe the kaiju portion of himself is basically holding itself back and not listening to him out of basically resent for what he did back during that last fight, or maybe basically Kafka just has a giant mental block on himself that's keeping him from being able to transform. We're going to find out most likely in the next chapter or the chapter after that, because obviously Kafka has to transform in order to stand a chance against Kaiju number 9. Although I do have the theory that this might not actually be Kaiju number 9 that we're seeing on top of this giant ant. Because again, remember to the last time we saw Kaiju number 9, he was shedding his skin and leaving like a dead husk behind before he went and attacked, or assumedly attacked, that Defense Force building. So maybe this is actually the husk of Kaiju number 9 that we're actually seeing on top of this ant. Like maybe Kaiju number 9, when he shed the husk or the skin, he left some kind of like imprinted memory on it, so that when it actually joined up together with this ant, it actually is controlling the ant based off the command or the memory that Kaiju number 9 left with it. So that basically it can be a distraction for whatever he's actually really doing. It's hard to predict really what Kaiju number 9 is planning or doing right now because we have so little information as to what's going on currently. But I'm actually looking forward to seeing what happens in the next chapter, because I'm imagining that if this actually is truly Kaiju number 9, then he's going to speak to Kafka directly, and the two of them are going to have some kind of discourse where we're going to end up finding out, or at least getting hints to what his plan is. But if it's not, then we're probably not going to hear him talk at all, and it's just going to be him trying to kill Kafka the entire chapter with the platoon that's actually with him currently, trying to protect him maybe, and maybe Narumi stepping in at the last minute to save him. But anyway guys, that's it for this chapter review. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I cannot wait to read the next chapter. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought about this week's chapter, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.